Today, we're interviewing Piper about connecting with careers. How did you know what you wanted to be when you grew up? Piper's project, Connecting with Careers, is focused on helping high school students learn about different careers through interviews with people in different professions. It does so by sharing personal stories and advice that those people in her community have about what they do and how they got there. So, Piper, as you're trying to help high school students figure out different careers and what those paths look like, why is this particular problem meaningful to you?
It's meaningful to me because I faced and I'm still facing this problem. I used to stress a lot more about being unsure of what career I wanted to go into, especially when I first started high school. And I have thought about one day studying biology or pursuing environmental science, but I was unsure about what those jobs look like and what would happen if I didn't actually end up enjoying that type of work. Once I began finding ideas, I didn't know where to look for specific information about what I should do in college, how the job is daily, and other information I was lacking. I also thought that not only I could help others with this problem, but I could also help myself.
And so, how did you discover that this wasn't just a problem that you faced, but your peers faced as well?
During the first few weeks of interviewing people around me, I found that some of them didn't know what career they wanted to go into, and I found that topic to be really interesting. So I started creating my own questions focused on career interests. I asked them if they knew what they wanted to do when they got older, what stressed them out about careers, and what would make them feel more comfortable with this idea. I found out that there was a large variety of different careers people are interested in, like psychology, archaeology, engineering, architecture, environmental law, and nursing. And I also found others who didn't know what they wanted to do. With this information, I knew I wanted to help those people find more comfort with their ideas.
So, what impact does this problem have on high school students?
Most of the people I interviewed were in 10th grade, and during the first few years of high school, that's usually the time when people start figuring out what they want to pursue in the future. And as the 10th graders are approaching 11th grade, it can be stressful if you don't have an idea for what you want to do or if you want to learn more about your decision. Um, they still have a lot of time to find their interests, but many people I interview like the idea of feeling more prepared as they start thinking about college and other important decisions leading up to their futures.
So, tell us more about your solution, Connecting with Careers.
For high school students who want to learn more about careers through conversations, Connecting with Careers is a podcast that shares interviews with someone in a specific career about what that person does, how they got there, and any advice they have. Unlike online websites, Connecting with Careers is a platform that will let you hear a conversation with specific personal information and stories.
What was your experimentation process like, and how did you decide to deliver this solution through a podcast?
So, my first idea was I wanted to start testing the interview format and see if it would be a good way to pass along information to other students. So I interviewed a fellow classmate of mine and found out that she was interested in psychology and wanted to learn more about the career as well as what college looked like. I contacted my school psychologist and conducted an interview with her. My outcome was really great. I had a good hour-long conversation with her and got really good information that my classmate enjoyed. I did learn that the length of the interview would be important since my classmate didn't want to listen to the whole interview for that whole hour. And I learned that this format would be a really good way to expand my project. And continuing to expand my project, tried to find more people to interview. So I thought an idea would be connecting with the alumni at my school. So I reached out to my school's alumni office asking if they knew any alumni in certain careers that would be interested in being interviewed by me. Getting in contact with the alumni was a lot more difficult than I thought. So I met with the office again, and we decided that finding different careers would be more helpful, which is why I also created a Google form and sent it out to friends and classmates about what career they're interested in and any questions they have. And after about 2 weeks, we found alumni that I could interview. And I learned that the process takes longer than I thought, and communication goes a long way when moving the project along.
So, what was your favorite part about working on your project, and why was that?
I think my favorite part was conducting the interviews. For example, I interviewed my school psychologist, which was my first interview, and I didn't know what to expect when going into it. However, she was so easy to talk to, as she talked for an hour about her career, and learning from her experiences made me excited to find more people to interview. Although the interviews were slightly nerve-wracking because I was new to interviewing, it was really interesting and enjoyable to have these conversations and learn about so many different careers.
So, reflecting on the whole experience, what is a personal highlight for you going through this entrepreneurial process?
I learned a lot about communication in person and through email. I learned how to communicate with adults I didn't know really well and improved on at creating professional emails that helped me move my project forward. There was one week in particular when I was really focused on my project and getting in contact with two alumni from Wilmington friends that I'm proud of. One is an architect and the other is an environmental lawyer, which matches my beta tester's interest, who also provided me with questions to ask during our conversations. And during that week, I sent many emails and scheduled times to interview.
Although you worked on your own project, what was it like going through this process in a cohort of other teens?
I really enjoyed being with my cohort throughout the entire process. I was a bit nervous at the beginning as someone who tends to be a bit more reserved, but I quickly got more comfortable with the people since I met with the same group every week. I enjoyed having something consistent to rely on during the process because it got feedback on my work and I was able to try and help others with their projects as well.
So, in the last 12 weeks, what's something you did for the first time and what was that like for you?
Before this program, I never really interviewed someone before. And when learning about the program for the first time, I was a bit nervous knowing that I would have to interview many people, but I soon got used to it and even used it for my project. I was not perfect at interviewing when I first started, and I still am not, but I learned what I could do to improve. I did this by listening to recordings of me interviewing people and noticing things I could work on, like asking my questions more clearly. I also asked my advisor for help, and she gave me many tips, like connecting to what the interviewee says when asking follow ups and going to the next question. Over these 12 weeks, I've really improved, and I know I will continue to with the skills I've learned.
I really admire how you came over those fears of communication and now are becoming an experienced and expert interviewer. And so, what did you learn from this process that you believe will benefit you in your future endeavors?
I clearly saw how important communication and taking initiative was. When my project seemed stuck and like it would take a really long time to find alumni to interview, I knew that meeting in person with the alumni office would help me move my process along. I was a bit nervous, but once I went, I found out that it made things easier for the office and for myself. And after that, I worked even harder to get the interviews by emailing the alumni and scheduling a time to meet. This process was a bit tedious, but I practiced staying focused and productive with my project.
Piper, thank you for joining us today and sharing about your project and entrepreneurial journey. I appreciate how you're bringing people together to share stories, insights, and knowledge for students to learn about the possibilities of their future ahead. Congratulations on graduating from the Social Innovators Program.